When World War I comes to a close, a battle of a different sort begins. Only this time, the weapons are words, and the soldiers are scientists. This new battle will rage between two diametrically opposed views of human behavior. On one side are the scientists who see our personalities as unchanging, fixed at birth, biologically determined. And on the other side are those who believe we can change, that we are influenced by our experiences and what we learn along the way. When the debate heats up in the United States, life is changing rapidly and dramatically. It's an unsettling time for most people who yearn for stability and normalcy and certainty. What scientists have to say about human behavior, whether it's fixed at birth and predictable, or shaped by the environment and changeable, will have a profound effect on how people view the future, how they see each other, and even how they live their lives.
But not everyone believes that biology is destiny. For many scientists, it's your experiences in life that count. Your upbringing, your education, your environment. Chief among these scientists is psychologist John Watson, who offers a theory that is the mirror opposite of eugenics. Over the years, Watson studies the behavior of babies, hundreds of them. To Watson, we arrive in the world a blank slate, tabula rasa. Nearly everything is learned, even things we think are instinctual, like fear. To prove that environment is more powerful than genetics, Watson designs an experiment for an infant known as Little Albert. He's so confident, he films it for posterity. At first, Albert shows little fear, even when Watson places a burning newspaper in front of him. Albert is also unafraid when he encounters a white rat for the first time in his life. But then, Watson shows Albert the rat accompanied by a loud clanging noise, one of the few things that upsets little Albert. And he does it again. And does it again. Eventually, Albert learns to fear not just the rat, but all furry things, even without the loud noise. In Watson's mind, the Little Albert experiment is a success because it proves that fears are learned, not inherited. Watson calls his theory behaviorism and begins to popularize it. He urges parents to take active control of their children's upbringing by shaping their environment. To think of the home as a scientific laboratory.
Science was increasingly important in the popular mindset. If science said something, if scientists tested, if scientists experimented, well, then it must be so.
But the appeal of behaviorism runs deeper. Its egalitarian philosophy and outlook seems to reflect the very spirit of democracy.
Watson was the voice of the American dream. And the American dream was that this is the land of opportunity. You can become what you would like to be, even if you're not there yet. And at least if you don't do it in your lifetime, this is the land in which your children can do it.
The American dream of opportunity draws millions of immigrants. They come by the shipload to fill the jobs of a rapidly expanding economy, to seek a better life. But the arrival of new immigrants increases all kinds of fears. Some are economic, that the immigrant worker will lower the wages of American workers, or take their jobs altogether, all the while crowding their cities and their schools. And there are also biological fears. Charles Davenport and others in the eugenics movement worried that the new immigrants from Southern and Eastern Europe are bringing defective genes with them. They have no faith that America will transform the immigrants. If anything, they fear the immigrants will transform America. This is the pinnacle of the eugenics movement in the United States. There are new immigration laws. There are new marriage laws forbidding mixed-race marriages. There are even new sterilization laws preventing criminals, epileptics, and the insane from reproducing. Laws, all designed to protect the gene pool. One person who truly understands the manipulation of human behavior and its terrifying potential is a rising politician in Germany. Adolf Hitler and his Nazi party come to power in the early 30s by using every technique propaganda has to offer to influence the German people. In films like this one, he promotes the credo of the Nazi party: beauty, strength, health, the eugenic ideal. It is in Hitler's campaign for power that the century's two opposing views of human behavior, whether behavior is fixed or malleable, come together with no apparent contradiction to the German people.
Hitler's Germany, the fact that mass murder, that genocide had been committed in the name of racial purity, in the name of a eugenically inspired racial cleansing, was very frightening to people, even to people that previously may have been attracted to a kind of idealism that was also part of the idea of eugenics. And so you see in the years after World War II a real pulling back from explanations of mental illness, of intelligence, of all sorts of behaviors rooted in genetic understandings, and a turn instead towards environmental understandings.
In the 1950s, millions of Americans scanned the daily papers for the latest advice from Dear Abby or Ann Landers. These twin sisters from Sioux City, Iowa, are the most popular advice columnists in the country. Americans love advice. They're hell-bent on self-improvement, optimistic about their prospects, and guided by a near-religious belief that they can always change for the better. The opposite view, that behavior is fixed at birth and can't be changed, is still associated with Nazi Germany, where eugenics was used to justify genocide. So Americans embrace scientists who believe the opposite, that when it comes to behavior, it's the environment that counts, and virtually anything is possible.
We see the idea that we could engineer the household, we could engineer the family, we could engineer all different aspects of society.
While some scientists engineer shiny new consumer goods for an eager public, Harvard psychologist B.F. Skinner seeks nothing less than the engineering of human nature. In experiments with subjects as simple as pigeons, Skinner declares that with the right social engineering, we can create a new breed of human being. Skinner is firmly in the behaviorist tradition pioneered by John Watson in the 1920s. Like Watson, Skinner contends that with the right tools, we can predict and control behavior. He develops a system called operant conditioning to prove that a behavior will be repeated by a subject when rewarded. Repetition leads to reinforcement. And Skinner believes that if it works for pigeons, why not people? In Skinner's mind, behavior is behavior, up and down the evolutionary scale, and it is all learned. One of the great successes is in education. People are taught to do more complicated tasks than anyone had thought possible by breaking down behavior into small steps and giving positive reinforcement along the way.
The essence of Skinner's work was that we could manipulate the environment in ways that would permit us to produce any kind of behavior that we wished, and we could develop individuals in ways that made every possible future open to them.
The idea that anything is possible has enormous appeal in the 50s. A time when the country is changing at a mind-boggling pace.
Before men learned how to control fire and put it to work, it was man's greatest enemy. In much the same way, your emotions can be your own greatest enemy. Or, under control, your emotions can make you healthier and happier and improve the lives of people around you. I think of fire in connection with emotions because when you become stirred up, when your emotions control your actions, it affects not only yourself, but the people around you. Psychologists find that control of emotions can be gained by understanding the stimulus-response pattern. Nature endows us at birth with three general patterns of emotional response. Rage is the response to the primary stimulus of thwarting, something interfering with our behavior, our actions. Fear is the response to loud noises or loss of support. And the emotional response to love is usually the result of a show of affection or favors. And these seem to be the emotions with which we start life. Then as we grow up, many everyday things and social situations become associated with these primary stimuli, partly by a process called conditioning. Let's take a look at a slice of everyday life to understand how some stimuli can bring about various emotional responses. What might happen to you, or to me, or to Jeffrey Moore? Jeff is an ordinary and healthy and well-balanced young fellow. He usually gets along well with people. And on this particular Friday afternoon, Jeff and his pals are discussing a big triple date tonight.
My dad's gonna let me have that car tonight.
Oh, the car? That's super. That sounds swell, Jeff, but, well, I don't know if I'll be able to go. I got quite a headache.
Got a headache, huh?
Yeah.
Well, how about letting Jeff, the old soda jerk, fix you up a snappy seltzer?
Okay. Hey, watch out. You're going some jerk.
Yeah. Okay, Bub. I saw the whole Y stunt. Now, just suppose you clean it up.
Go on, wise guy. Clean it up. Yeah, it's right on the floor there. Look at the wash moving.
Wise guys, huh? Well, suppose I don't pick you up tonight. I got a darn good notion to let you guys walk to the park.
What got into him? Gee, I don't know.
Why is Jeff angry? What's the stimulus that brings on this sudden emotional response of anger or mild rage? Well, it might be that Jeff feels thwarted as he fails in the fancy trick to impress his pals. So he gets mad at his pals. Of course, Jeff's going to get the car ready for the party tonight. He wouldn't really miss a chance to impress the gang. But, starter won't work. Again, his behavior is thwarted, and a habit is being developed. A habit of allowing such things to annoy him. Jeff's losing control of himself. His thinking is becoming muddled, and he's careless in his actions. The madder he gets, the worse it becomes. Did you ever hear anyone say, "I was so mad I couldn't see straight"? Severe emotional stress often decreases efficiency. See what I mean? And of course, it's the fault of the wrench. This is called projection. He's projecting the blame to the wrench. Let's see how the rest of the family is doing.
Oh, thank you, Joan, dear.
See how the new dress tends to stimulate Joan's love for Mother? This makes both Mother and Joan happier. But how does it affect Jeff? And how does his anger affect the others?
Oh, you're the sweetest, bestest mother a girl ever had. I'm glad you like the dress, Joan. Oh, I'm so happy. I could be a model. Or a cover girl.
Hey, what's gotten into that crazy kid's sister?
Oh, Jeff, don't be that way.
Notice how Mother seems to become angry herself because of Jeff's anger. Perhaps she shouldn't, but anger is a violent emotion, and we often see an induction of behavior or spread of emotion to other persons, almost like a contagious disease. Sometimes rage, fear, and love are aroused together at the same time. Of course, Jeffrey's family didn't realize that he had been exposed to one irritating situation after another. An accumulation of stimuli which brought about an abnormally strong response. And what did this do to Jeff, this sort of uncontrolled emotional outburst? Well, he regrets some of the things he said, but he can't unsay them. He's tired. That feeling of fatigue may spoil a good time on his date tonight. And if this sort of flare-up is repeated often, it might lead to a permanently warped personality. What could Jeff do to keep better control? Well, we say he could, 1, eliminate the stimulus, 2, modify the stimulus, or 3, modify the response. With these 3 ideas in mind, let's examine Jeff's episode again. To control his emotions, Jeff eliminates the stimulus, the failure to impress his pals, by trying such fancy tricks only when he can do them successfully. But sometimes the trick fails. There are many times when you can't eliminate the stimulus. Try to modify the stimulus. Standing off and looking at himself, Jeff realizes that a slip like that won't really hurt his standing with the gang. Taking it all lightly as a good sport, Jeff impresses the gang a lot more than if he gets angry over such a little thing. It helps to recognize and understand the emotional patterns. Then it's easier to eliminate or modify the stimulus. And there's another, even more valuable way to control your emotions. Modify the response. Rather than get in the habit of getting angry, Jeff can substitute. He can modify his response by seeing the humor in the situation. What good does it do to get angry about this? When Jeff's in the habit of controlling his emotions, his thinking is straighter. Push the button. No starter. Let's see. Pull the light switch. No light. That means something. Reason it out. No horn either. So, must be a dead battery. That's straight thinking, unmuddled by emotional disturbances. And it's a simple thing to call the garage or someone for a push and a recharge. No need to fly off the handle and take it out on the things and the people around. When he tries to understand his emotions and those of people around him, Jeff has less trouble controlling himself, and he and those around him are happier. The more he exercises control of his emotional behavior, the easier it becomes to meet the next situation without losing control. Yes, by a better understanding of the emotional patterns of everyday life, and by knowing how you respond to various stimuli, you can develop better control by eliminating the stimulus, or by modifying the stimulus, or by modifying the response. You can control the fire of your emotions. You can balance your emotions and use them so that your personality becomes more pleasant. and you and those around you are a great deal happier and healthier.